What's up, guys? Welcome back to Almost Functional 40K. Continuing with the data sheet review for the Space Wolves. This is going to be the last in the series. This is going to be going over all the character options for Space Wolves. So feel free to let me know in the comments what you might want me to go over next about Wolves, or if you have something else, not Wolf specific, but about 40K you want me to get into. Uh, I will be going into over the next weekend or so uh, about ATC, how the Wolves did there, how my team did there, thoughts on my list, thoughts on opponents, stuff like that. But once all that's done, I will definitely be looking at something, trying to get into something else. Uh, Wolves related, if that's what everyone keeps wanting to see, because I love my Wolves. More generic 40K content will be coming too, but if there's anything Wolf specific people really want to see, just let me know and I will definitely get into it. All right, so we'll go ahead and start with the stuff in the generic Marine book. So first up, you just have your generic captain. Um, they can run with. Oh, oh, they changed it. It's not double star, so they can go with assault intercessors, blade guards, company heroes, hellblaster squad, a furnace squad, intercessor squad, stern guard squad, tech squad. So basically, most of your non-Terminator, non-Phobos stuff they can join. Um, Pretty generic weapons here. We're not going to get super into the weapons. But their ability is they have the rights of battle, which, as we all know, got changed. Well, if you don't know, it did get changed. There's no more free strats, but once per battle round, you can make one uh, strat one CP cheaper, and if it takes it to 0, it is free, and then you can't double up on strats anymore. And then he has the finest hour once per battle at the start of the fight phase. This model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, add 3 to the attacks characteristics of melee weapons equipped, and they get devastating wounds. That's a solid ability. The rights of battle is really nice. Assault Intercessor, Blade Guard. Most of this stuff here, maybe if you run some sort of a Stern Guard build, but I don't think they need it. If you run Assault Intercessor or Blade Guard, I think there'll be better options we come across later on. So I'm not super sold on just a generic Captain and Wolves. I think there are better Wolf-specific options. So then got the Captain and Gravis armor. They can draw in aggressors, eradicators, heavy intercessors. I really don't think you waste time putting him in one of those. He does give them the rights of battle ability, and then each time attack is allocated, half the damage characteristic. Um, but that's only to him. So I don't think you really attach him to any of these squads. I really don't think you take the Captain and Gravis armor in Wolves. Captain and Phobos armor. Once again, none of these squads I find really need a captain. They're there to score points and die for the most part. So just adding extra points in for no reason is not that good. Not a good idea. So rights of battle, same as every one other one. Master the seat. After both players have deployed their armies and determine who has first turn. If your army includes one or more models with ability, you can select up to three friendly Adeptus Astartes Phobos or Adeptus Astartes Scout units. You redeploy all those units. When doing so, any of those units can be placed into strategic reserve, regardless how many are already in strategic reserve. So maybe you take him for this if you want to infiltrate 3 things up just to stop your opponent, and then right before the game, put them back into safe spots. Um, all right, I can see that, but there are other people who have that ability, so then you might still have to roll off, and they get this. I don't think you take him just for this ability, although that is a kind of nifty ability. I kind of still don't think you take the Captain and Phobos armor. Captain and Terminator armor. So he's got rights of battle and unstoppable. You can reroll charge rolls made for this model's unit. If you're running multiple Terminator squads and you're planning on them being kind of the center of your army, like really doing damage, not just like dropping down so we're being hard to kill and like holding a quarter or something. Um, I could see taking a captain. This is a pretty nice rule coming out of reserves with a reroll to charge. Just makes it a 9 still not guaranteed even with a reroll, but that definitely basically doubles your chances. So Captain Terminator armor definitely has some play in wolf lists. Captain with jump pack. So Angel's Wrath, lowest model's leading unit. Each time that unit ends a charge move till the turn, add 1 to the strength of melee weapons equipped by models in that unit. Um, that's all. If you go in super heavy into the Assault Intercessor with jump pack build, I could see taking him. He can only join them in Vanguard vets. I'm not. I've said this in many. I'm just not sold on Vanguard vets right now. For what they do, I'd rather just take the Assault Intercessors for the cheaper points to do basically almost the same thing. Um, so if you want to make one of those units a little more of a hammer and not quite as much as a throwaway piece, you can add a captain in there and just give them a little extra punch. But I really don't think you need to. I think they're best at just throwing the Assault Intercessors with jump packs into a little unit, jumping out to score something and die in. I find that's what their best use is in Wolves. But if for some reason you wanted to take a larger squad and make them more dangerous, you could stick the captain in there with them. Lieutenant, so he can join Assault Intercessors, Blade Guard, Company Heroes, Hellblasters, all the same stuff as that first captain. He gets lethal hits, and his unit is able to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. That's not horrible, sticking him in a Blade Guard, giving them fallback and charge. I definitely think there is some play there. Um, yeah, so yeah, there's definitely a spot for a lieutenant and blade guards depending on your build. Uh, but I definitely like the lieutenant better than the captain. So that's definitely something worth considering is putting the lieutenant in the blade guard. Lieutenant in Reaver armor. Um, Not a big fan of Reaver squads right now. Um, he may be able to join the Hounds of Mordecai as well, but I just don't really think you take the lieutenant in Reaver armor. That's just not with those units. What they're doing for you doesn't need extra points. Same with Lieutenant Phobos armor. Just no point sticking extra people in those units. If you're going to take a character, you take the one with the combi weapon. He's a lone op, feel no pain, stealth, infiltrate, can move when people get near him, gives you bonuses for rerolling wound rolls of 1 on a certain objective. With the Change the Oath, that's actually a solid ability. I've seen him in quite a few of the wolf lists going to ATC. He's a really nice tech piece. I really like him. I'm not running him, but I've definitely considered it, and he may make it into some of my future lists. I think he's a really, really good option. Um, librarian, generic librarian, just don't really need them in any of these units. Desolations you don't take. Stern guards you don't really take. Tactical we don't take. We can't even take Devastator, although I guess he could probably join Longfangs. Um, I don't think you need the generic librarian. Librarian at Phobos armor for 70 points is a good option. You stick him in an infiltrator squad, and with his shrouding, so they can't be shot outside of 12, and the 12-inch deep strike deny from the infiltrators, you just makes that unit so good at holding your backfield. But now it goes from a 100-point unit to a 170-point unit. So that's really pricey for a unit that's probably most likely just going to sit back there and do nothing to hold your backfield objective, maybe score some little secondaries that involve them standing back there. Uh, but I have done it, and it's worked well. The only thing that ever bothers me is thinking about how many points is sitting there, but they do their job, and they do it very, very well. My current list, I don't have him because I took 2 infiltrator squads. Just because with the demons and Grey Knights, I figured the extra deny bubble early is worth the risk of one of them getting shot from a little further away. But yeah, I definitely like him. I've run him before, and I will definitely run him again with the infiltrators. I find that's the best spot for him is with infiltrators. I don't think you stick him in the other squad. If you run him with infiltrators. All right, Librarian and Terminator armor. Close leading unit. They have sustained hits 1. So yeah, once again, if you're going super Terminator heavy, running multiple squads, I could see taking him and sticking him in a unit. 4 field no pain against psychic attacks. If you're only running one Terminator unit, I don't take him or the captain. We'll have better options later on. We'll get to. But if you're running multiple, I could take him or a captain. Or if you're running 3 Terminators, you just want to go real Terminator heavy, possibly run all 3. But he's not a must take, but I wouldn't say never take him. He's definitely can be useful. Chaplain, once again, the units you can add him to, I find don't really need him, or there's better options. Uh, he gets +1 to wound and melee, which is nice with Blade Guard, but it's fine. There's better characters to attach to them. And once per battle, he can make a unit no longer battle shocked, which is a nice ability, but I don't find battle shock in most games is really that impactful. Same thing, Chaplain Terminator armor. There's just better options. Um, he does give a 4 field mechanic against mortals. So I guess if you are fighting somewhere, you have a meta where there's a lot of mortals, maybe you take him just God, I can't speak. Specifically to skew into your meta. But I find in general, I don't really think you take the Chaplain in Terminator armor. Chaplain on bike, I played around with him in a big bike squad with an ATV to try to take advantage of these devastating wounds. It just doesn't seem to ever pop off the way I hoped it would. And besides that unit and him, it's just so many points, takes up so much space. I just find there's better options for doing damage. So I think you leave him at home, although this is one of my favorite models of all time. I love the Chaplain on bike model. I wish he fit into the list a little better. Uh, I wish you could add him to like Thunderwolves or something. That would be amazing. Then I'd probably take him almost every time. But I just don't think Outriders are good enough that you spend points to give them a character. If you take Outriders, you take a 3-man squad as a screening, scoring point, throwaway unit. Chaplain with Jump Pack, same thing. There's just better options to join to the Jump Packs, although not as many with the Jump Pack units. Really just the captain. So actually, let me take that back. This might be where you take one. Assault Intercessor with Jump Packs with +1 to wound. And then each time this model is selected to fight, you can select one immune with engagement range. So once again, another chance to do mortals. So let me take that. You might almost take the Chaplain over the captain. If you're going to add a character to the Jump Intercessors, you know what? The Chaplain might be the best option for Jump Intercessors. I'm actually really liking this. I just started running them, and I use them as throwaway pieces, so I haven't really looked deep into adding a character to them. But with +1 to wound, maybe it's worth taking a squad, putting him in there, and not using them as just a throwaway piece. Deep strike them in, rapid ingress them, harass someone's back line. I have to think of that. That might make it into some of my early Champion of Russ builds, playing around with the Chaplain. Dude, I got a real old Jump Pack Chaplain I've had probably since 3rd edition. He's still metal. Like, I would love to get him back on the table. So Chaplain with Jump Pack, I think actually might have some play. Tech Marine, yeah, if you're running, like, if you watch the other video, we talked about a Dreadnought heavy build, which is probably really good at Space Wolves. Just giving the benefits and the healing of, my brain's not working, to the Dreadnoughts, just keeping them alive longer. And then he's a little model that can do some actions and stuff. He gets the load up near, right? He gets the load up near. Yeah, he gets load up near the vehicles. So you keep him near the Dreadnoughts. He toes in on objective and does your cleanse or whatever while the Dreadnoughts still do your damage and stuff. Yeah, Tech Marines are solid if you're running a vehicle, running a bunch of vehicles. Apothecaries, I don't know what those are. I'm a Space Wolf player. Same with that one. Ancient. So they can enjoy all the same units as the captain and lieutenant. Add one to the OC of a unit. That could be a interesting little play, but I really don't think you need it, especially in Wolves. If you're running Champions of Russ, you need to just spend a strat for the turn to put someone in Majesty and give them the extra OC. as you didn't get a 4 Feel No Pain. That's cute, but in Wolves, we can basically achieve both these things for the most part just by popping sagas or spending strats. Uh, Ancient Terminator armor, once again, +1 OC. Add one to the hit roll. Yeah, I don't think you take him. There's better options. Because I don't see where he has. Yeah, you can add them with another character, so I don't think you take them. Ancient, same thing. There's just better options to add to the Blade Guard and Wolves. Judicar. Now here's someone who's interesting. The fight first is always a nice thing to have, especially if you're running a more infantry-based list where you probably might get charged first, or put them in the position to heroic end. And then you can killing characters gives you extra attacks. It would also help you achieve sagas if you did it. So maybe if you're running multiple Blade Guard squads, you put him in one of them. I could definitely see that has some play. I don't think you really stick him in any of these other units. Fight First isn't as good in anybody but Blade Guard, even Assault Intercessors. They just don't hit hard enough. So Judicar and Blade Guard, I like, but only if you're running 2 squads and he's in the second. We'll get to who should be in your first Blade Guard squad, although most of you probably know who it is. Company heroes, they're I never take them, but yeah, it's 4 guys. Maybe you take them to do actions, but I'd find you to scout some cheaper stuff to do all that stuff. So I really don't think you need to take company heroes. And that looks like it's it for the characters in the Space Wolf book, unless there's some hidden somewhere else. Up above where we started, there's all the characters for the other chapters, but we don't care about those chapters. They're not nearly as good as Space Wolves. Bunch of bums. All right, so we're going to jump over to the Space Wolves Index. And all right, so right here, we're going to jump into the Wolf Guard pack leaders. So these are guys you can add into your units. So this still has the old where it's 2 pages. So you got Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, Long Fangs. I don't think we really run a lot of any of those. You could. Blood Claws are just so you have to take the 10-man Grey Hunters. If you want to run the like Plasma or Melta spam, definitely have some play. But I don't really think you spend the points to add this extra guy to a 5-man unit. Um, yeah, I don't see you taking the Wolfguard pack leader there. With Jump Pack, you can reroll Battle Shock. He can't be a Warlord, can't get enhancements. They could add him to some Jump Intercessors, maybe. I'm not sure if he's allowed to, but he can join Skyclaws. If he can't join a Jump Intercessors, then I wouldn't take him at all. If he could, I still think you take the Chaplain first. In Terminator armor, this is where you maybe take him at Long Fangs for the extra missile shots. That's definitely a viable option. So taking a 6-man Long Fang shot with 5 heavy weapons and then him for the Cyclone, that is definitely something worth doing. Iron Priest, same thing as the Tech Marine, except I like the Iron Priest better. He's got the Hellfrost pistol. He's got the Tempest Hammer. This hits a little harder. The rest of his rules are pretty much very cut and dry copy and paste from the Tech Marine. He's just a wolf specific model and he gets the cool wolf weapons. Uh, so I definitely think if you're going to run the list, I take the Iron Priest first before I take the Tech Marine. There's a little Cyber Wolf. He's still OC0. I don't think you waste the points adding him into the Fenrisian Wolves. I used to love them when you could take them as a solo thing and just have one little wolf run out and do stuff. But since they took that away, I really don't see much space for Cyberwolf right now. All right, and then jump into the rest of Wolf characters. They have these spread out, a couple of them weirdly across the index away from the other characters. All right, so next up is Lucas. So he can really only join Blood Claws. If you're running the 15-man Blood Claw bomb, I could see sticking Lucas in there. As well as leading a unit, neg one to hit the unit. That's pretty cool. Then when he dies on a 4-up, you can do d6 mortal wounds to the enemy unit, and they're battle shocked. They don't roll for battle shock; they're auto battle shocked. So that's a nifty little trick. 50-50 chance of doing mortals and battle shocking the enemy, um, which is a much higher chance to battle shock than just making them take battle shock checks most of the time. So Lucas could potentially have some play if you're running a Blood Claw heavy build, big 15-man squad coming out of like a Land Raider or something. Then we get into Logan. Logan is almost a must-take in most Wolf lists. The once per game, reroll all charges, reroll all hits in combat, and then if he kills an enemy unit, you gain a CP. Whether you take him on foot or on the sled is really the only debate, but I think Logan makes it into most Space Wolf lists, unless for some reason you just went super shooty. You're not worried about the combat stuff, but otherwise, I think you take him. Um, I see a lot of people run him alone, but I think he is one of the best options for leading a Terminator squad. So I could see running one or two Terminator squads, putting Logan in one, then maybe putting the Librarian in one. Uh, if you're not going the Thunderwolf route, just play with some Terminators. So Logan and Terminators I really like. The Logan alone, I know people have success with it. Just I can't see the Great Wolf not getting stuck in. So it's more fluff wise. I don't like it. Tactically, it has some merit. I've been playing Wolf so long, I just can't have him sit back. Logan on Storm Rider, I'm taking him to ATC. I love him in a squad of Thunderwolves. You still get to pop your once per battle thing. He gets to get stuck in and actually do damage the way I think he should be. I know a lot of people hate this model. I did too when it first came out, Santa on his sled. Over the years, it's kind of grown on me. Like I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's fine. It is what it is. Um, but yeah, Logan, awesome, make it into most spatial flips. Y'all Stormcaller, uh, we got the Living Lightning, which is nice. Strength 7, neg 1 damage. Got sustained hits 2 if you go hazardous. It doubles the number of shots and gets sustained, so that's probably worth doing most of the time. And then in combat, his staff also has sustained hits. Strength 7, neg 1, d3 damage. So he hits pretty hard for a librarian. Uh, his unit gets stealth, and each time an attack targets this model's unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So honestly, you might, if you're running 2 Terminator squads, you might almost take him over the generic librarian, -1 to hit and -1 to wound, because these both affect his unit, not just him. That's actually really, really nice on a Terminator squad. Sitting there at T5, that's a really good swing point. So y'all definitely have some play if you're running a Wolfguard Terminator type build. Bjorn, we went over in the Dreadnought video, probably one of, if not the best data sheet in Space Wolves. Arjack, Foe Hammer, Anti-Monster 2+. I wish it was Anti-Vehicle 2, then it would just be amazing, but still Anti-Monster 2+ Assault, Strength 8, Neg 2, 3 damage. And in combat, same thing, except it's 5 attacks instead of 1. Willis Miles leading a unit. Each time on the unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. If the unit is below starting strength, add 1 to the wound roll. If the unit is below half strength. So just some bonuses for units taking damage. You can target this model with an epic challenge stratagem for 0 CP. In addition, each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a character, you can reroll the hit and you can reroll the wound. So he can gain precision in combat for free, and that's really, really nice for achieving some oaths. He can join even if a captain or a chapter master already has, so you can stick him in the squad with Logan, which would just be a super gross squad. A pointy, but gross. We got Yolric. He can join Bloodclaws, Greyhunters, Longfang, or Wolfguard. Wolfguard just aren't what they used to be with the heirloom weapons. Bloodclaws, Greyhunters, Longfangs. I just don't think they need him. He's got some really nice rules, but I just don't think he has a place right now. If he could join like Blade Guard or some of the better squads, the fact that he's stuck to only the Firstborn Marines just really, really limits him, I believe. Ragnar, my favorite character, has been since second edition. This is who you stick in your Blade Guard units. Gives them advance of charge naturally, and on the charge he gets +2 attacks and strength, so he goes to 10 attacks, strength 8, with sustained hits 1. Yeah, so I'd stick him with a Blade Guard, and he has Captain, so you can also stick that Lieutenant in there as well. So I think Ragnar and a Lieutenant with Blade Guard is amazing. That's 7 models, so they can't fit in an Impulsor, but you can stick them in a Land Raider or a Repulsor. Uh, you can actually stick them with a second Blade Guard squad with the Judicar in the Land Raider or Repulsor and fit fine. Um, so that's something I'm going to play around with. Probably start with the Land Raider Crusader. 220 points. It's just so cheap right now. With 16 capacity, you can easily fit both those squads in there and get them where they want to be. I know everybody's on the Redeemer, but at 285 points, I can't do it. So that's definitely something I'm going to play around with. Ragnar and Blade Guard is awesome. Crom, once again, limited by what units he can join, so I really don't think you take him. Cool model, as most spatial specific models are, but just units he's limited to, just you don't bring him. Now we're getting into some Thunderwolf characters. We got Harold. He has Lord of the Wolfkin. While smells leading unit, each time the unit makes a charge at the end of the turn, crushing teeth and claws have devastating wounds. And once per phase, when resolving an attack made against him, you can make it damage characteristic 0. A lot of people are running him as just a lone character as own because it's the damage 0. Just makes him really hard to kill at T6, 7 wounds with the 4 invul. His combat is very solid. If he's with a unit, this goes to 3 damage. If he's with a Thunderwolf unit because of their special rule. So Harold definitely is someone worth taking, either in a Wolf unit or alone, but all the Thunderwolf characters are good, so you kind of have to pick and choose between them most of the time. I'm not taking him. I actually chose Canis. So Canis has the Wolf Claws, Strength 8, 8 attack, Strength 5, -1 damage, twin linked. He gives his whole unit sustained hits 1, which I really, really like, and he does mortals on the charge. So I chose, he doesn't have an invul, which is downside, so if someone has snipers, they could potentially pick him out, but you just have to position him where they can't get shots on him. So I chose to take Canis with one of my Thunderwolf units over Harold. The other Thunderwolf unit the second Thunderwolf unit has Logan in it, and then my third one has the generic captain on Thunderwolf, and we'll get to why when you get down there. So that's why Harold's not on my list, not because he's bad, just because I chose to go a different route, but you could easily swap Canis and Harold and be just as effective. Wolfguard Battle Leader and Terminator Armor. You can stick him in with Logan or a Captain, but I find Logan and Arjack just do it better. So he's a little cheaper. So if you're trying to save points, you could take him instead of Arjack with that Logan Terminator brick, but I think you should find the points to take Arjack. Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf. Has the rights of battle, so you get the 1 CP strat, or 2 strats are 1 CP cheaper, and he gives +1 to advance and +1 to charge to his unit, which is great on Thunderwolves. So that's the reason I take him instead of Harold, is for the +1 advance and +1 to charge. And you can still get him to 7 wounds with a Relic Shield. I run mine with a Thunderhammer, Relic Weapon. They're really good with pretty much any of these combos, especially in Thunderwolf units. We're getting the extra damage on the charge. Then we got the Battle Leader on Thunderwolf. I'm running this in 2 of my units. I'm not running it in the Canis unit just because Canis isn't the captain and you can't attach them both to it. But these guys, they give you lethal hits, which really, really helps wolves into like knights and stuff like that. And then Aggressive Hunter. So once per battle, when your opponent shoots your Thunderwolf unit, they can make a D6-inch move towards the enemy, towards the close unit, and if they get into engagement range, and they can do it, and they can move into engagement range. So if you position this, depending on, like, I'm running Stormlance, So if somebody moves within 9 of them, you could pop the strat to do a 6-inch move, really get close, and then if they shoot your unit with anything, they're only going to shoot you with 1 unit because you're going to pile into combat after that. So it really helps limit them getting shot. And with the restriction on being able to do the ride hard, ride fast for the neg 1 to hit, neg 1 to wound on 1 unit now instead of 2, you do this with 1 unit, so they get into combat, and then you pop that on the other unit, and it just still helps you keep the survivability of Thunderwolves up. And that's it for all the Space Wolf characters. Um, I find most of the time the characters in the index, the Space Wolf specific characters, are better options than the one in the Marines books. Uh, the only exception is if you're taking a character in the Assault Intercessors with jump packs, I would take the Chaplain out of the Marine Index. But other than that, I think every unit is better with the Space Wolf specific variant added to it. Every unit that you really want to take a character for. So that's really nice for us that we have such good character options. Um, and but the problem is you can't fit all of them in every list, so you really have to pick and choose how you're building your list. Because I wish I could just take all these guys, but you really can't. But once again, thank you guys for watching. Hope this was helpful to some of you. Uh, please like, share, subscribe, help get this content out, and I will catch you guys next time.